The following program is rated D for dumb.
Thank you for being a platelet donor with New York Blood Center. Right now, we need your help. Platelets are used to treat the most critically ill and injured patients, and right now we are in emergency need of platelet donations to ensure that we can meet the needs of our local patients. We're asking you to donate right away to save a life. To schedule an appointment, please call or text us at 800-933-2566. Again, that's 800-933-2566. Thank you for your help. We truly appreciate it.
And now, the voices of Harold.
Hi, Dave. This is your dad. I just arrived home.
Sometimes you sound like a woman, Dad. You know that?
From
Sometimes.
rehab.
Oh, okay. Well.
I just got here.
Oh, it's still Dad there?
Let you know.
Okay. You want to get your thoughts together a little bit, maybe? Want to think about things?
I went into the lobby and I saw the cat in the window.
Oh.
For a minute, and then.
How much is that cat in the window? Yes, cat. What did it look like?
Cat was really plump.
Plump?
Mom was looking at the cat.
Oh, Mom.
And then.
Cat. C-A-T. Cat.
It
Cat.
took off. We had to run and do laundry, and then we just got home, and we were just talking. Everything's okay. That's all. That's
greatest
all
voicemail ever.
Here.
Yeah,
So, love you, son.
Love you too.
This is Thornton Video Relay. I'm interpreter number 3.
My God. Can you imagine getting a phone call like that from your parents, all broken up, through an interpreter? I mean, cat, plump, laundry, rehab. I got it. All right. You know who else has got it? Hal in Philly. And he wants us all to go for a drive.
9 o'clock, I'm bored to death. Smoke so much I can smell my own breath. My baby left me. My best friend's not at home. Can't get that woman off my mind. I've never been the broody kind, but there's still one thing makes me come alive. Yeah, I'm gone for a drive.
The following podcast is rated D for dumb. You're listening to Dumbing It Down with Dave, the fastest podcast on earth. Listen to Dave commute to and from work on the New York State Thruway in his 2008 Kia Rio LX. He talks about pragmatism, truth, happiness, and the search for it all. Join Dave as he asks and tells you how life ought to be. And now, here's Dave.
Thank you, Alex. Alex XM, E-X-U-M, from AlexXM.com. Voiceover and intro maker extraordinaire. Hey, everybody, you want to go for a drive? That's great. I used to ask you if you want to dumb it down, but now I'm saying, do you want to go for a drive? Because of our theme song, our number one hit theme song. Well, it's number one hit in the .001 Productions world, and also in our little world, it's the number one song. And if you want, you can go to Bandcamp, B-A-N-D, camp, camp.com, and look up Hal Aaron. And I don't know if we've yet to put the links in the show notes, but we'll get them in there soon enough. And you can order the song, Going for a Drive. It's a 4-minute song. It's a great song, and you can order it. You can order it for $1, right? Or if you want, you could pay more than $1, because it's a nice gesture. You pay $5, $10, whatever, and it all goes to Hal in Philly. And he's out of work because of the COVID, and he's a musician. He wrote and produced and directed and everything that song. So it'd be a nice little thing. He can't do his outdoor gigs and the studio gigs, it wasn't his thing anyway. So, and I don't know if they're doing studio gigs. But anyway, you know the deal. Hal Aaron, Going for a Drive. If you can help him out and order that song, that'd be really great. And you could also get it as the holidays are coming. So think about ordering it as a gift for your friends and family. And, by the way, you can also say that you've heard it on Dumbing It Down with Dave. the podcast. Okay, so there you go. Thank you, Hal. Thank you, Alex. And did I do the AI voice at the beginning of the show? I think I did, right? I think I did do an AI voice. Did I forget to do it? I was supposed to do it. I think I did.
The following program is rated D for dumb.
That was David. I think I did it. Well, I did it anyway. There you go. I did it twice if I didn't do it the first time. So there you go. Thank you, Linda Irwin from Awesome Insanity Surfers for the AI voices. I was looking for, one of our listeners wrote, he was looking for Harry, and I went to the emails. I couldn't find it. I had all these emails from Linda, and I went through it. I was laying in bed with my CPAP mask on, and I couldn't find it. But Linda's going through a whole burning, scorched earth situation out there in McCall, Idaho. So let's send some prayers out to Linda Irwin as she tries to survive. She has 2 seasons. Well, there's 3 probably, but there's 2 major seasons in McCall, Idaho. One is the ice and snow season, where she's buried. And I've seen pictures of her house, like buried, like 20 feet of snow, whatever. Nobody ever talks about McCall, Idaho, but apparently it's a dangerous place to live when you're fighting for your life. It's either snow and ice in the winter, and then there's fire, which is going on right now. And there's ashes falling from the sky, because you're only hearing about the California fires. But there's fires where she is, too. And apparently they go through this every year, for whatever reason. Which leads me back to a show that I did previously. I don't remember which number it was, but I talked about when I was a young child. I think it was, I know it was like 50 years ago. Because I used to have these idealistic, I still have them, about other things. And I know you have them too. The problem is, when we go from children to adults, we don't allow ourselves to stay with the childhood thoughts. No, you have to leave that behind. Because, we do the Santa thing, the Christmas thing. Oh, that's not true. All right, leave that behind. The Tooth Fairy. Oh, that's not true. Leave that behind. So we do this really evil, horrible thing. And I know I've done a podcast on this before. I mean, I've done 250 of them. I'm sure I have. Where we create these fantasies, we tell these lies to children because our parents told it to us. And I know that it's all, sugar fairies and plums, whatever they call that, unicorns. I know it's all sweet and sugar. I understand fairy tales. I understand books. But when you really expect a child to believe, when you tell a child, we're going to leave this cup of milk and cookies for Santa, and then you eat the cookies and whatever, unless you're lactose intolerant or whatever. So, we create this whole scenario. We really build it up. And, of course, there's cartoons and we see Santas in the street and Santas, and, we take pictures with Santa. It's a whole business. And then we destroy everything by growing up, or we tell the children, we help the children growing up because eventually a 6-year-old will hear it from a 10-year-old, because the 10-year-old goes, well, it got ruined for me when I was 6, so now I'm going to ruin it for you. There is no Santa. Santa's a lie. Mom and Dad have been lying to you. What? Yeah. No Tooth Fairy either. That's them. What? Yeah. Right. No Easter eggs. That's them too. What? Yeah. Yeah. Everything is them. They tell you something and then they take it away from you. Anyway, so, boy, I really got, it doesn't take me long to go down these dark childhood roads, but you get the idea. We have these childhood naiveties, whatever, naivete, idealism. Why don't we just do this? Why don't we all just smile and say hello? Why don't we just shake hands? Why don't we, whatever it is. So I used to say, why can't we just get water to the forest? Why? Because remember Smokey-Bear? Only you can prevent forest fires. Remember that? Smokey the Bear. There's a cartoon character we all should have rallied around. Not Santa Claus, not the Tooth Fairy, not the Easter Bunny, right? Smokey the Bear. I think a lot of children used to get confused between Yogi Bear and Smokey the Bear. I think that's possible. But, Yogi Bear could have been friends with Smokey the Bear, right? By the way, you get it? His name is Smokey? Okay. So anyway, why didn't they just call him Jerry? So, we do this. We have this naivete. And I used to say, why do we have forest fires? Why don't we just have water in the forest? Why don't we have a migration, not a migration. Why don't we have irrigation? How come we don't have an irrigation system? Why don't we have water? How come there aren't pipes that run throughout the whole forest? And of course, that's a lot of acreage. I get it. Oh, I get it. Dave, you can't do it. That's a lot of acreage. Oh, but if we could pump oil and reduce our, responsibility, our whatever, leaning on the Arab countries, right? Oh, we find a way to do oil. And by the way, I'm not anti-fossil fuel. I'm not anti-anything. For those of you who are new to the show is all about pragmatism. Pragmatism. If you don't know what that means, I don't really have the time to define it. Pragmatism, truth, happiness, and the search for it all. Because I don't lean left and I don't lean right. I find the truth usually lies somewhere in the middle. And we have always been okay with pipelines, with oil pipelines. I know there's also that Tenesco or Tennessee, whatever, gas, like natural gas pipeline. I feel like I see these things on the side of the road, don't dig here, whatever. There's yellow things on the side of the highway, the freeway, whatever. There's this Tennessee or Tenesco. I don't even know what it says. My memory is very bad right now. But we have pipelines that are transporting fuel underneath our houses, our whatever, wherever they are. I don't know if they're underneath our houses, but they're in the land. But God forbid, 50 years ago, I'm 57, so I always do this number for those of you who have listened to the show before. I go with 50 because in 1970, it might have seemed expensive then, but a lot cheaper than it would be in 2020, right? And if you think about the loss of life, if you think about the loss of useful land, houses, right? You think about the time and money spent on firefighting, all those planes that drop all those chemicals. Think about the animals, livestock, not just wild animals in the woods. Think about livestock, think about farms. I don't know what the number is. I don't have that type of show. But think about it. I mean, I know it's got to be, if not in the millions, I would guess it's in the billions. It's got to be in the billions. 50 years later, since 1970, how many major forest fires have we had? So, add that all up. That wouldn't have been worth it if the entire country all chipped in, somehow getting water. Does Maine have forest fires? I don't think so. Does New York have forest fires? I don't think so. I never heard of a New York forest fire. So, we have all this water in the Atlantic Ocean. I get it. It's salt water. I get it. But we do have water all over the planet. In fact, if I remember correctly, isn't the planet 3/4 water? So, why can't we use all that water all over the world to prevent forest fires? Because if I remember correctly, water douses flames. Salt water is very important for fish to live in. I get all that. I think you can filter out. I know there's a way because I was in the Navy, and you can filter out salt water. If you can, if for some reason, if salt water was bad for the pipes, whatever, you can filter out the salt water. You can put salt back in the ocean. But Dave, we can't use 3/4 of the water of the Earth's. 3/4 of the Earth is covered in water. But if we use water to put out forest fires, what about the whales? What about the fish? Yeah, but you're not going to use that much water that you're going to affect fish. What you're going to do, I think, and I know that I'm just a truck driver, so before you go, wow, yeah, I know I'm just a truck driver. I know that I'm a middle-aged, bald, overweight, legally obese loser. I know that. I don't need you guys to remind me of that. I know all that. I'm just talking pragmatic. Just think of how great it would be if somehow we had this system I use the word irrigation. I don't know if that's the right word. Some system of pipes. Really, really huge pipes that somehow, sequentially go down to these smaller pipes because you got to create pressure, I guess, right? And get these pumps. And by the way, there will be people employed all over the country that will maintain this system. It's going to be like the highway system. It'll be federally funded, right? The states, everybody can chip in or whatever. I don't know how it works. I don't make bills. I'm not the guy that puts bills and proposals. I'm not an engineer. Just pragmatically speaking off the top of my head, as I'm driving my Dodge Caravan up the New York State Thruway on my way to work. What's today's date? I don't even know what today's date is. I haven't looked. It's the 17th of September, and it is 7 o'clock p.m. Yeah, it's nice to be late for work. I like that. I enjoy being late for work. It gives me a thrill to get to work in a rush. I'm not really rushing, but this is the fastest podcast on earth, by the way. I used to say that all the time. I don't say it anymore. What speed am I going at now? I'm going at 71 miles an hour, and my mileage is 86,780. I think I bought this vehicle at 71 or 72,000. So I've already put 15,000 miles on it in over a year. Yeah, I've had this over a year. Have I put 15,000? 77. I think I bought this at 77, so I think it's at 9 miles. Anyway, 9,000 miles. Okay, so you know the date. You know where I'm at. I'm northbound on the New York State Thruway. And I'm just talking about how I know that I'm an idiot. I don't need to be reminded. Dave, there are people who are paid. Well, I don't know if there are people that are paid to do this. Because if they were, in 1970, I think they would have calculated it out. They would have amortized it, right? There's a good word. They would have they would have had actuaries. Is that a good word? They would have been involved. Engineers would have been involved. And they could have came up with a plan saying, all right, here's where the hot spots are. These are where the Santa Ana winds, right? All that. I mean, a lot of the problem in this country is California and or the West Coast, because right now I guess Portland's on fire. McCall, Idaho is always on fire. So why couldn't we have started this 50 years ago? Do you think we would have been done by now? I think we would have been done by now. Think of all the people that would have been employed. While the country was going downhill, if you read that book, The New Jim Crow, well, all these black people were getting arrested for, a quarter of an ounce or an eighth of an ounce of marijuana possession. All this abuse was going on. And I'm just saying this very pragmatically. All this overreach, the 3 strikes you're out. All these guys, we used to only have a couple 100,000 people in jail. Now there's 3 million people in jail, supposedly, or 2 million. Whatever the number is, it's really insane, this country, how we like to penalize and put people in prison for the dumbest things. There are people in prison, by the way, who are not even guilty of a crime. And I know that from a podcast I've been listening to. I haven't been talking about a lot. Season 1 was fantastic. She's now in Season 2. It's not an official promo because I don't have the information in front of me. I'm meaning to. But I like to support indie podcasts, like independent podcasts. And this podcast has gone from a small independent podcast. Well, anyway, it's the, what is her group? Her group is, hold on. All right, I had to pause the show because I started to talk about a podcast that I've been listening to, and I didn't remember the name and everything like that. So it's called Perception Gaps, and it is produced by the Christian Science Monitor. The Christian Science Monitor. Before you hang up the show, before you run away, before you get scared, the name, and I think they actually talk about this in one of the episodes or something like that. The name Christian Science Monitor does not mean that it's a bunch of Catholic people or Christian people all on top of a mountain coming up with crazy theories and ideas. I'm not a religious man, but I met the host of the show, Samantha Laney Perfas, P-E-R-F-A-S. A middle name I always have a hard time with. Every time she says it, I go, I'm going to remember how she says it. It's not Lonnie, it's Laney, something like that. Anyway, Samantha Perfas. But she likes using her middle name. The Christian Science Monitor. I cannot tell you what I know about this organization because I don't know anything about this organization. But for what I know, I have nothing to be afraid of. Of course I have nothing to be afraid of. I'm not I'm not a part of it. I don't pay for it. It's not Scientology. And I think a lot of people get confused between Scientology and the Christian Science Monitor. So I'm going to stop talking about it because I honestly don't know anything about the Christian Science Monitor. All I know is that the show is called the podcast that I'm recommending. You can go to season 1. She's got like, I don't know how many episodes, 8, 10, 12 episodes. They're all great. They all talk about perception gaps. What we perceive as the truth and what actually is the truth. She has a lot of editing, a lot of guests, So I didn't know the show was going to be a big plug for the perception gaps. But anyway, so you listen to that show and they talk about the prison. This year, season 2 is entirely about the prison system and the corrections and all that other stuff. So last year it was a variety of different shows. This year is just that. So we could have put a lot of people to work over the last 50 years. A lot of families could have benefited from employment of building this water pipeline. Think of 1970, 73, the recessions that we had and the depressions that we had, the gas crisis that we had. People could have been put to work. We've done this before in this country. And we could have built a water pipeline. And we could have identified the hot spots in this country. We could have identified, the secondary, right? The secondary hot spots. We could have, I think, tertiary, would that be the third? And we could have identified smaller hotspots all across the country, but primarily go right to California. Get the water to the place that burns the most, burns the largest. Because every year, it's thousands of acres that we lose. I can't imagine what California looks like in large parts of it. San Diego has had fires. Anyway, it goes on and on. And by the way, this last fire, right, they say the cause of it was because of a gender reveal party. There was fire. Somehow, something was on fire at the gender reveal party. Is that true? I don't even know. So, and that goes back to Smokey the Bear. Only you could prevent forest fires. Yeah, you have a gender reveal party, which, by the way, may or may not be one of the dumbest things I've ever heard of. Whatever. And then, people just used to have babies, and whatever came out, came out. Now it's like a whole thing. That's where I think technology makes things a little bit wacky. Because you can find out way in advance. Whatever. That's a whole other show. So, all those people could have been employed. All these animals could still be alive. All the farms could still be in business. A lot of farms in California have gone out of business. They've moved. They sold the animal. People no longer have, you need farms. You have to have farms. There really has to be a number of farms in this country. We need to have a percentage of this country that will always be farming. From what I understand, farming is shrinking, and that's bad. Can't have farms shrinking. Again, middle-aged, obese, loser, truck driver, podcast host, blah, 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 truck driver. Probably going to get fired one of these days for something stupid that I do. I'm waiting for this drive cam thing. I'll talk about it next episode. I'm sure by next episode I'll have an idea of this other drive cam that's coming my way. I avoided a major, major catastrophe and had nothing to do with me not paying attention. I was totally paying attention. And I was on the Cross Bronx Expressway. Anyway, you'll hear about it in the next episode or two. So that's my show today. I did want to do a show and catch up on all the comments, but somehow we got into it. I don't remember how we even got into it, into this whole thing about, preventing these forest fires. We really should not lose our idealism and our naivete. We really should hold on to those parts of our childhood. First of all, we should stop lying to children. We really should. Dave, are you calling for the abolishment of Santa? Well, listen, I'm not calling for the abolishment of everything. I'm calling on people to be pragmatic. I don't think the pragmatic movement will ever occur. If it does, it'll be because, like this COVID situation, human beings will just go, oh yeah, I don't really need to have all this Hulu or this Netflix. I need to have health and fitness. Yeah, I need to have a clean house. I need to safeguard myself from death. When you're looking at death and you start thinking about self-preservation, again, another show I've talked about over and over again, I can't tell you how many shows I've done about self-preservation, then you'll stop thinking about Netflix and Hulu. Game of Thrones and Boardwalk Empire or whatever, and Bachelorette and Bachelors and Housewives and 600-pound pimples and all that other stuff. This COVID, hopefully, this COVID is hopefully a wake-up call for everybody. Yeah, we got to clean up a little bit. We got to do better. We got to hate less, love more, listen more, maybe talk less, or talk smarter. And think about things that we could do for this country. Forget about the world. Just for this country. And this is not a MAGA thing. And it's not a BLM thing. It's a human thing. We should not have forest fires. We should not. But Dave, it's the natural way. The earth, it trims the fat. You know what? I'm all for that, by the way. I am all for natural forest fires because before there was civilization, there must have been forest fires, right? Lightning strikes, right? And the rain would happen or wouldn't happen. Trees would be dry. They wouldn't be dry. I understand natural progression. I have no problems with that. But when you have a fire because of a gender reveal party, or you have arsonists or whatever it is, not to mention we do have a lot riding on people not dying, right? People not dying, houses not being burnt up, people not having to evacuate and leave their homes. And if that has anything to do with the stabilization of the climate control, the weather situation, the climate situation, the energy situation, all of that, the polar bears and, the Antarctic and the Arctic and whatever, all that stuff, ice melting and icebergs, cracking, all that stuff. I'm not saying anything is responsible for anything. I'm saying we are all connected. We are, in fact, all connected. It is all connected. And we should do better. We should be more naive. We should stop destroying our naivete. And we should stop destroying our idealism. Talk about the original pandemic. Talk about the original crimes. We do it to ourselves. So that's why I am not usually as surprised as other people are by human behavior. We already have been doing it to ourselves. You look into your child's eyes, your loving baby, and you lie. Santa is coming tonight. You liar. Milk and cookies. Never going to happen. Santa built that bicycle. No, Daddy did probably. Or Mommy, but whatever. Male, female, I'm not going to get into that today. It doesn't matter who made the bike. The family made the bike. The family built the tree. All that stuff. Self-preservation is something that we've lost. And I've talked about that, how you can go into a supermarket. Years ago I walked into the Super Price Chopper in Pittsfield, Mass, and I was blown away by the aisles and aisles and aisles and aisles of choices. Unnecessary choices. Regular, mild, extra strength, super extra strength, whatever. It's like all these different flavors, all these different strengths of toothpaste, of medicine. It's in a gel, it's in a tablet, it's swallowable, it's chewable. You stick it up your nose, you put it up your butt, whatever. It just is a lot. It's a lot of choices. Electricity seems to flow, not for California so much recently, but whatever. Water, drinking, not in a lot of states. Self-preservation is something that we should maybe be a little bit more naive about and a little bit more idealistic and go, how can we make this better? By the way, why isn't that the national conversation? Because of BLM? Because of a few bad cops? And I'm not trying to trivialize it, maybe a little bit more than a few bad cops. We've got to be careful, folks. This is not an environmental show. This is not a trucking show. This is a human behavior show. This is a show about pragmatism, truth, happiness, and the search for it all. And you need pragmatism to get to the truth. And if you get to the truth, I think we're going to have happiness. And while we're searching for everything, it'll all be there right there in front of us. We won't be afraid of the truth. We'll know it in advance. I hope you enjoyed today's show. Thank you to everybody for listening and commenting and engaging. Don't forget to call the Dumbing It Down with Dave hotline, 3477 Thank you for listening to this episode of Dumbing It Down with Dave. Goodbye, good day, good night, good luck, good riddance, good rats. Godspeed and great skills. Take care. That number is 3477 I am dumb.